You guys might have heard that there was some Alec Baldwin news over the past weekend, and yeah, I'm a little bit late on this, but I do want to talk about it because I think that there are some interesting developments on this. Mostly, once again, the handling of the situation. One of the media's golden children, even though he's approaching his golden years, Alec Baldwin has been under investigation after he killed a woman, a few years back. But let's set the stage to begin with. Prosecutors seeking to recharge actor Alec Baldwin in fatal shooting on a movie set. Yes, Rust. We all remember, what was this, late 2021? Man, this has been going on forever. October of 2021, I do recall. And yeah, first time around, the charges, there was talk about certain charges being brought, and then New Mexico Attorney General announced there's not going to be any charges. Charges are going to be dropped on this one. Everybody thought, oh God, Alec Baldwin is just going to skate on this. But, as we know now, it wasn't such the case. Prosecutors Carrie Morrissey and Jason Lewis say that they will file charges in the next 2 months. This was posted October 17th, 2023. They were a little late on their prediction. Special prosecutors said Tuesday that they're seeking to recharge actor Alec Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter in the 2021 fatal shooting of a movie set in New Mexico. New Mexico-based prosecutors Carrie Morrissey and Jason Lewis said that they'll present evidence to the grand jury within the next 2 months, noting that additional facts have come to light in the October 21 fatal shooting on the set of Rust during filming on the outskirts of Santa Fe. Baldwin, a co-producer on the film, which is important to note, it might end up playing into the court case when it happens, was pointing a gun at cinematographer Halyna Hutchins during a rehearsal on the film set outside Santa Fe. When the gun it just went off. I didn't pull it didn't happen. You guys remember that interview? Again, that's going to become very important when this case does go to trial, killing her and wounding director Joel Souza. Additional facts have come to light that we believe show Mr. Baldwin has criminal culpability in the death of Halyna Hutchins and the shooting of Joel Souza, Morrissey and Lewis wrote in an email. We believe the appropriate course of action is to permit a panel of New Mexico citizens to convene a grand jury for whether Mr. Baldwin should be held over for criminal trial. And fast forward to January of 2024, and Alec Baldwin faces a fresh manslaughter charge over Rust shooting. Oopsie daisy. And also the armorer, what's her name? Fat ass with an OnlyFans. I know that doesn't narrow anything down, but she's also been charged with involuntary manslaughter. But let's take a look at some of the facts on display right here. Grand jury in New Mexico has charged Alec Baldwin. Well, they've indicted him. They haven't charged him with anything. That would be the prosecutors, but I don't expect the BBC to get this correct. A fresh count of involuntary manslaughter over a fatal movie set shooting in October of 2021. Previous charge against the Emmy award-winning actor were dropped last April, just 2 weeks before the criminal trial against him was due to begin. Local prosecutors have since shared additional facts from forensic tests on the weapon used in the shooting. Attorneys for Mr. Baldwin told the BBC, "We look forward to our day in court." Mr. Baldwin, 65, was practicing firing a Colt 45 pistol before filming a scene for Rust, an upcoming Western film shot near, Santa Fe in October of 2021. The production ended up moving and wrapping, I think. It moved up to Montana, and it did end up completing, which I've got a morbid curiosity when it comes to that film. Like, is it eventually going to get released? What's going to happen with the proceeds? Anyways, that's all very, very strange and a different subject for a different day. But the gun, it just went off, fatally striking 42-year-old cinematographer Halyna Hutchins and wounding director Joel Souza. The actor has maintained that he did not pull the trigger and only drew back the hammer of the pistol. He also argued that he is not at fault for Miss Hutchins' death because he didn't know the weapon contained live rounds and because no live ammunition was supposed to be on set. And see, that's a problem because there's a lot of stuff to dissect in these two statements right here. He argued that he's not at fault for Miss Hutchins' death because he didn't know the weapon contained live rounds. That really doesn't much matter because this is an involuntary manslaughter charge. His reckless behavior ultimately led to her death. Didn't matter that no live ammunition was supposed to be there, okay? It didn't even matter that he didn't check. Simply put, given the test that they ran on the firearm, it is completely and totally impossible without the depression of that trigger for that weapon to fire. Meaning that Alec Baldwin, during his George Papadopoulos sit-down at 60 Minutes or 2020 interview, one of those hack interviews where he went on there and said, I don't know, the gun just went off. But yes, him also admitting that, I only drew back the hammer. Well, here's the thing, man. Okay, it's loaded with what he thought was blanks, even though it shouldn't have been loaded with anything. The scene that they were just blocking, they were getting everything ready because they needed a shot, pun not intended, looking up towards him, with the barrel of the gun in frame as well, with the hammer cocked back. And the only way that you could go ahead and uncock the gun, technical terminology, is to go ahead, ease the hammer back. But okay, he didn't pull the trigger. So basically what could have happened, and something that will eventually be figured out in the trial, did he just slam the hammer down on that? Did he just flick it forward thinking that nothing was in the chamber, ergo letting the round be struck and then fired out of the gun, striking Halyna and Joel Souza? That's what we'll have to figure out, because okay, he didn't pull the trigger, he still operated the hammer of that very operational firearm. But special prosecutors in New Mexico said that in October that they had commissioned a forensic expert to reconstruct the weapon after it had been broken during FBI testing. Yeah, very interesting that the feds screw something up again. Weird. They said doing so revealed the incident could only have taken place if the trigger had been pulled. Although Alec Baldwin repeatedly denies pulling the trigger, given the test, finding the observations reported here, the trigger had to have been pulled or depressed sufficiently, which would be required in order for him to go ahead and, drop the hammer back down, rendering it unable to fire in that condition. Release the fully cocked or retracted hammer for the evidence revolver, the report concluded. The new evidence was brought to a grand jury of 12 beginning on Thursday, with the requirements that at least 8 to agree on a probable cause for new charges. The one-count indictment was issued Friday under 2 alternative legal theories: that Mr. Baldwin was either negligent in his use of a firearm or that he acted with total disregard or indifference for the safety of others. Still, both of which are going to trigger an involuntary manslaughter charge. Prosecutors have indicated that he can only be convicted of one of those theories, not both. If convicted, he faces up to 18 months in prison. But let's just go ahead and cut this off at the knees. Is Alec Baldwin going to ultimately be doing a perp walk and get sent to prison? I think he's too famous to actually do that, and he does have a violent history of beating people up over vacant parking spaces and being caught on recordings yelling at his daughter over voicemails. Like, he's not a very nice person. Okay, hell of a good actor, intensely talented, shitty individual. But with that said, do you throw him in Gen Pop for a year and a half? Not gonna happen, man. He might do a couple of weekends work release type shit, or more than likely probation, though, if we're gonna be completely honest. An attorney representing Ms. Hutchins' family said it was looking forward to the criminal trial. Our clients have always sought the truth about what happened on the day that Halyna Hutchins was tragically shot and killed. Gloria Allred said, oh, God. Okay. I'm still on, Halyna Hutchins' side, but if her family hired Gloria, I'm a feminist first, Allred. Ugh, can everybody that's in the courtroom just eventually get locked up? That'd be great. They continue to seek the truth in our civil lawsuit for them, and they would also like there to be accountability in the criminal justice system. Friday's indictment comes exactly 1 year after the first manslaughter charge against him was announced, but the original case fell apart amid challenges from the Hollywood star's lawyers and the initial team. The prosecutors stepped down. The new prosecution team dismissed the charge in April of 2023 over evidence that the gun may have been modified, but then it ended up not happening at all whatsoever. Halyna Gutierrez Reed, that's the name, who was responsible for the weapon and ammunition on set as the film's armorer, faces her own manslaughter charge as well as a charge of evidence tampering. Oopsie daisy. She pleaded not guilty and will stand trial next month. I'll be interested to see how that one goes, and if she gets offered a plea deal in order to go after Alec, which I think is far more interesting than her belabored case. But this will be one to watch when it eventually does end up happening. But Alec Baldwin seems to be taking it in stride. He hasn't had to go surrender himself to the Santa Fe authorities. No. He could just go spend as much free time with his family, something that the Hutchins family will never be able to participate in ever again. Alec Baldwin was seen for the first time in public since he was indicted on an involuntary manslaughter charge in New Mexico grand jury for the 2021 shooting death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins on Sunday. Baldwin was pictured zipping up his jacket while walking outside with his children in the Hamptons just days after his indictment. 65-year-old appeared sullen, wearing a navy puffer, black shirt, dark pants, and sneakers as he braved the cold. On Saturday, he posted an Instagram video on the beach in Montauk, but nothing about the indictment. Well, of course not, a source said. They had a great Christmas and New Year. Hilaria just turned 40, and now they wanted to this is not how they wanted to start the new year. Well, yeah, and the Hutchins family for the past 2 Christmases also didn't want to start off a new year without a mother, without a wife, but shit happens, right? And then just in a closing statement here, Baldwin has always maintained that he follows gun safety laws, even though you shot and killed somebody. Not that you ever intended to. That's always been my position. I don't necessarily think that, he's holding a grudge against Halyna. Christ almighty, it was basically his production. It was his production company that set up this shoot, likely hired her. So yeah, he had no intent of ending a life that day. It just so happened, man, and things like this happen all the goddamn time. If you're driving, you fall asleep at the wheel and you kill your passenger, guess what? You're going to be charged with involuntary manslaughter. I don't know why, just because the guy's an excellent actor, posed for a hell of a good shot, why he should skate on this stuff. Well, guess what? When he eventually does have his day in court, perhaps the Hutchins family will finally get that justice that they are seeking. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.